We are the Group 7 under the leadership of Laika Peralta, and now we will going to discuss the rejection region for the population mean. Number 1. Rejection region. The interval of values of the test statistic for which the null hypothesis is rejected. It is the set of all values of the test statistic that would cause us to reject the null hypothesis. This area defined by the critical value. The following table shows the location of the rejection region under the normal curve, depending on the null and alternative hypothesis for the population mean. Let us distinguish the difference between one-tailed test and two-tailed test. One-tailed test is a statistical hypothesis test set up to show that the sample mean would be higher or lower than the population mean, but not both. When using a one-tailed test, analyst is testing for the possibility of the relationship in one direction of interest. Before running a one-tailed test, the analyst must set up a small hypothesis and an alternative hypothesis and establish a probability value. So there are two types of one-tailed test. The first one is the right-tailed test, sometimes called an upper test. It is where your hypothesis statement contains a greater than symbol. In other words, the inequality points to the right. Second, left-tailed test. A hypothesis test where the rejection region is located. For the extreme left of the distribution, a left-tailed is conducted when the alternative hypothesis contains the condition alternative less than a given quantity of x. So let's move to two-tailed hypothesis test. It is where the rejection region is divided equally between two central values at the extremities of the distribution. A two-tailed test is applied when alternative hypothesis equals a given quantity. Number 2. Level of significance. The probability of rejecting the null hypothesis in favor of the alternative hypothesis when it is true, denoted by alpha. It has a typical values of 0.05 and 0.01. Example, a significance level of alpha is equals to 0.05 means that there is a 5% chance of rejecting a true null hypothesis. So now we're done on the first part, so let's proceed on practice.
The first problem solving is that a cable brand claims to have strength of at least 900 pounds with a standard deviation of 13 pounds. A company researcher selects a sample of 29 cables and finds out that the average breaking strength of the cables is 825.3 pounds. Assume that the breaking strength of the cables is normally distributed. If the level of significance is set to alpha equals 0.05, what is the area of the rejection region and where is it located? So that's what we are about to solve. What is the area of the rejection region and where is it located? So, the solution. The first thing that we'll do is identify the hypothesis. As shown in the problem solving, the cable brand claims to have strength of at least 900 pounds. Therefore, the null and the alternative hypothesis are as follows. The null hypothesis is a mu equal or greater than 900, and the alternative hypothesis is mu less than 900. The next thing that we'll do is identify the rejection region. The sample size, as shown in the problem solving, is 29 and is lesser than 30, although the population standard deviation sigma is known. Also, the alternative hypothesis uses the relation symbol less than. Thus, a left-tailed t-test should be used. Because the alternative hypothesis uses the symbol, we will use the left-tailed t-test. Okay, in a left-tailed t-test, the rejection region is located in the left tail, as shown in here, with an area that is equal to the significance. So, we can conclude that the rejection region has an area of 0.05 in the left tail of the distribution table.
A telecommunications company claims that households receive an average of 40 telephone calls per month, with a standard deviation of 5 calls. To test the claim, a researcher surveyed 35 households and found out that the average number of calls was 36.2. If the level of significance is set to alpha equals to 0.10, what is the area of the rejection region and where is it located? So let us bear in mind first that the null hypothesis is the statement claims that there is no significant difference between two variables. If the null hypothesis rejected, automatically the alternative hypothesis is the one that we're going to use, and it is stated that there is inverse of the null hypothesis. So the first thing to do is to identify the null and alternative hypothesis by analyzing the sign that we're going to use. In this case, it is equal sign. So to find the alternative is simply copy the opposite sign, and we know equal has two results called two-tailed. Second, identify the rejection region. The sample size n is equals to 40 is greater than 30, although the population standard deviation is known. Also, the alternative hypothesis uses the relation symbol unequal. Thus, a two-tailed z-test should be used. Remember, we will gonna use z-test because n is greater than 30. We already knew what test we are going to use. Now let us identify the significance level, which is 0.10, and it is already stated in the problem. So because it is two-tailed test, we will going to divide it by 2. So alpha over 2 or 0.10 over 2 is equals to 0.05. Now let us construct the normal curve. So as you can see, there is two rejection region. The left where infinity negative numbers are placed, while the right are the infinity positive numbers are located. So simply distribute 0.05 in each side to know if it is accepted or rejected. We finally figured it out that the rejection region has an area of 0.05 in each tail of the distribution.
So let us just remember our key points for our rejection region. So rejection region is the interval of values of test statistics for which the null hypothesis is rejected. So this is the example on how to get the rejection region. And then our number 2 key point here is the level of significance. The probability of rejecting the null hypothesis in favor of the alternative hypothesis when it is true denoted by alpha. So that is all for our topic for today. Thank you guys for listening and watching. Hope you have a great day. Thank you.